A lot of people think that codes hidden in the Torah are proof that it was written by a divine creator. And I get it, it sounds compelling. They say there are hidden names and events, like that infamous dictator from the 1930s, that illness that shut down the world in 2020, and certain horrific historical events, all encoded in the Hebrew text, spaced out by the exact letter counts. It's called equidistant letter sequences, or ELS, and at first glance, it seems supernatural. But here's what you need to know. ELS is not unique to the Torah. These kinds of codes have been found in classic novels, fictional epics, even modern bestsellers. Because not only was the Torah written by the divine creator, so was every other book in this matrix. Words are alive. All words are a spell. And if you'd rather not look at it supernaturally, when you have a large enough block of text and you apply enough mathematical filters, you can find patterns in anything, especially when you're looking for them. The human mind is wired to seek meaning, and religious institutions over time have used that tendency to their advantage. It creates an illusion of divine perfection, when in reality, it's just mass programming wrapped in mystery. The so-called Bible codes were popularized in the 1990s by a handful of Orthodox scholars with ties to mystical traditions. Their goal was to prove the Torah was written by God. But there's a problem. These codes can be found everywhere, not just in so-called sacred texts. And true divine revelation doesn't need to hide behind number tricks and secret formulas. Truth is simple. Love is obvious. And light does not need to encrypt itself. So where did the Torah actually come from? It didn't just fall out of the sky. The Torah was compiled during the Babylonian exile, in a time when the Israelites were surrounded by foreign cultures, foreign gods, and foreign myths. The creation story in Genesis is almost identical to the Enuma Elish, a Babylonian creation epic. The flood story is a near copy of the Epic of Gilgamesh, written centuries earlier. That doesn't mean there actually wasn't a flood, because our minds are a hologram. And if we believe it happened collectively, then it may have happened. That's why there has been so much done on research to try to prove that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, when in reality it can be proven that it's much, much older. Even the symbol of the serpent, vilified in Genesis, was a sacred symbol of healing and wisdom in ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and early goddess traditions. So, why would a loving creator erase wisdom and demonize it? The answer is, they wouldn't. But a system trying to control minds? Absolutely they would. Because if people gained wisdom for themselves, they wouldn't need priests, or temples, or religious laws. And then came Rome. By the 4th century AD, the Roman Empire saw the power in the Christian movement and said, let's make it ours. So Constantine legalized Christianity. But not to free it, to use it. They formed the Council of Nicaea to decide which books were allowed, which gospels were banned, which truths were erased. Anything that taught you to go within was removed. Anything that said the divine was feminine, intuitive, or directly accessible, that was labeled heresy. And thus the message of Christ consciousness was buried under hierarchy, ritual, fear, and patriarchy. This is why so many modern Christians are so quick to reject Christ consciousness, because they've been conditioned to believe the Bible is perfect and untouchable. Questioning it is rebellion. Awakening within is demonic, and that the only path to God is through the external systems created by, let's be honest, secret societies in robes and titles. But here's what the Bible actually says. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Do you know that you are the temple of God? 1 Corinthians 3:16. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Colossians 1:27. The letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. 2 Corinthians 3:6. So, when people say Christ consciousness is dangerous, they're not protecting Jesus. They're protecting the structure that replaced him. They've been tricked into serving a system of fear, guilt, and mental health battles, thinking it's faith. But the real Jesus didn't come to start a religion. He came to end the illusion of separation between you and God. He existed, yes, and he has also a Kundalini awakening inside you, as above, so below. Never limit your Creator. So no, the codes in the Torah don't prove divine ownership. They prove how deeply the system wants to convince you that it's untouchable. But the true divine doesn't need tricks. It speaks through peace. It lives in your heart. It doesn't need a priest or a number sequence to speak to you. And it certainly doesn't hide in war manuals edited by empires. Christ consciousness is not rebellion. It's remembrance. And the more you remember who you are, the more the old world will try to silence you. But let them try, because the light is rising, and this time we are not falling asleep again.